Welcome to the Camnet breakfast. We apologize for the delay in starting the program. This was due to circumstances beyond our control. Well, I'm Patrick Soko, and today we have lined up a number of activities on the breakfast show, and we'll be joined by some comrades who will be a part of the interviews today, including from the Civil Society Scaling Up Nutrition Alliance, and that is Mr. Matthews Muhuru, as well as Mr. Trevor Mwinde, who is coming from the United Party for National Development, the UPND, to help us discuss some of the pertinent matters that have been happening across the country. And as you already know, we have been discussing the national budget, and I will try to talk about the nutritional component of the national budget with the Civil Society Scaling Up Nutrition Alliance National Coordinator, Mr. Matthews Muhuru. Well, before we get into the nitty-gritties of the program, we'll go straight into the morning boost of today.
Very good morning to you and welcome to Morning Boost. This is Isaac Macha, always here in the morning to make sure that you have a great day. Therefore, today we're going to do some simple workouts, different kinds of workouts in 5 minutes. As usual, it's going to be a warm-up. Let's go. Start with the warm-up. Good morning. Let me know where you're watching us from. Let's go. Very easy. Okay, I'm gonna change very soon. Here's the next one. Thank you. Trotting, trotting, trotting. Do this anywhere. You can do this in your kitchen, from your living room, outside, car park, anywhere. Okay, here we go now. So the first workout we're gonna do, we'll do some mountain climbers. Okay, let's go. We'll do both for the beginners and for those already in the workout system. Go down, see my body. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7. Make sure that you're pushing in your knee in. 10. So I'm going to do 40 mountain climbers. 20 will be basic. The next 20 will be a little bit advanced. Last 10. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You should be feeling your hands by now. 8, if you're doing it correctly. Okay, so that was 20. You can take a 15-second break, sip some water. Let's do the last 20 of mountain climbers now. Yes, she just sipped some water. Don't mind, the person behind the camera. Let's go now. 20 of them. Okay, 10 in breaks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 10 more to go. Okay, let's go. Last 10. I'm sure my 15-second break is up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Here's your active break. That was 10. Try this. Leave a comment. Let's see how you're doing. Let's match. 2 steps each. 2. 2. 2 steps. I'm going to add a grapevine now. 2 each. Grapevine. Try this, daddy. 2 each. Stay at it. I'm gonna change soon. Let's march. Keep marching. 1, 2. 1, 2. Let's run now. See? You just need a little space for you to do your running. Almost done, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I always feel good every time you join me. So make sure to do this every day and you're gonna be fit. Don't miss another session next week. This is Isaac Matsa and I'm signing out with a punch on your face. 1, 2.
Thank you so much. This is the Camnet Breakfast Show, and we just have that morning boost to just help us keep feet on our toes. In the studio, we have Matthew Moore from CSO Sign, and he will help us discuss quite a number of issues with regards to nutrition and how government is intending to approach this sector. Matthews, welcome to the interview.
Thank you very much, Sharon. It's always a pleasure to be here. It's actually the first time.
Yes.
So yeah, I hope.
But you've been here in the news.
Yeah, you've been in the news like so many times, but not in the studio. I remember the last time we invited you, it was on gunpoint. As of yesterday, I'm glad you have made it this time.
Yeah, we have to be available.
Yes.
Yeah, so basically we want to also get your thoughts on various issues pertaining to the nutrition sector, Mr. Mhuru. First of all, we just want to find out how do you assess the approach by the new government in as far as the nutritional component is concerned. We just want, if you have assessed the manifesto of the UPND as well as what you think of it in as far as addressing nutrition is concerned.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I'm actually glad that you've started with the manifesto. So CSO San, had actually done an analysis of different manifestos just to understand what the policy direction was going to be for the different political parties, just in case they would form government. And the UPND is actually one of the manifestos that we had actually analyzed. So we had raised some concerns with their manifesto for starters, because we noticed that they had highlighted nutrition as one of the key areas, but the strategies on how they were going to just address the nutrition issues were not very clear. So CSO had actually offered to work with a lot of parties just to strengthen the nutrition component, but I guess time was not enough and everybody was in campaign mode and they were running around. So just coming to fast forward, UPND forms government. On the inaugural speech, you are getting the president indicating that one of these key mandates is to ensure that every Zambian has at least 3 meals a day. So that was quite exciting, and it's a commitment that should be embraced by everybody, including people that are in different departments of government. So yeah, now coming now to the government and just the 2022 national budget that has been presented to Parliament. Yeah, so there are quite a number of issues that we've seen in the budget. So for starters, the agricultural direction looks like it's more of a business approach, like where you are trying to commercialize most of the agricultural activities in the country. So that worries us, because at the end of the day, it's the smallholder farmer that will bring the foodstuffs to your market, and more of the commercial farmers they produce for exports, and they usually produce cash crops. So you would notice that probably it will be the soybeans, it will be the cotton, it will be the maize that will be mass produced at the expense of the much needed diverse foods that will be needed at household level. So for us, that's one area that we feel would actually not fit what the president's commitment to make every Zambian afford at least 3 meals a day, and just making diverse foods accessible in different parts of the country, or in all parts of the country. I remember we have very, very scary indicators like the minimum acceptable diets in the demographic health survey that show that only 12% of children that are between the ages of 6 months to 23 months have access to diverse foods frequently. So already this shows that we have a problem in our food diversity, and just households accessing these foods is a huge problem. So dealing with malnutrition cases that are quite high in our country is going to be quite impossible if we take the business approach. Another area in the budget that we've noticed that needs to be addressed is the fact that the budget speech, the Minister of Finance mentions that they're trying to move towards more sustainable irrigation, because you would agree with me that rain patterns, because of climate shocks, some parts of the country are not receiving as much rain, so you would have droughts time and again, while others would have floods and all. So the Minister of Finance makes mention that they want to invest in sustainable irrigation, even beyond or just away from the rain that has been at the center of our agriculture. But you go deep in the numbers, you realize that the budget lines that were allocated to irrigation have been reduced greatly by over 50%. So we wonder how that will be made possible. And I think the biggest problem that we've also seen is the fact that it looks like almost all ministries now have moved 100% to the output-based budgets. Previously, government used to, budget with the activity-based approach, but now it moved to output-based. So you would not find certain key lines that you would want to see, as it was back in the day. So if you even just type the word malnutrition in the yellow book, you won't find it. If you type growth monitoring, you won't find it. If you type other key lines that with the old approach would actually provide the technical expertise to government and just warn them if there are key lines that have been dropped, so that they should not really leave them out, because if they do, the consequences would be quite huge. But now with the new approach, we're not seeing all of that. So this is a danger. And even when you go to the government ministries and request for their, the budget breakdowns, you are not having access to this kind of information. So it's just going to make it very, very difficult to support government, so that, their budgets are really speaking to their aspirations and some of the key commitments that have been made so far.
Okay, so your organization, among others that champion nutrition, have been talking about diversifying with regards to growing other nutritious crops such as maize, sorghum. Zambia is well known for growing maize.
Yeah.
But then with these issues that you've raised, are we seeing anything change, especially in this farming season?
Yeah. So that's the kind of challenge that we're seeing, because just yesterday you'd agree with me that the German Chancellor made a huge donation to the Zambian government for food security, so that they can address nutrition security as well as also water challenges. And the president indicated that these monies would be used for intended purposes. And one of the things that we really want to see is a situation where as a country we own some of our challenges and we own our solutions. So depending on handouts as a country for to champion diversification is not sustainable, because immediately the focus changes from our donor community and our cooperating partners. That leaves our country and the majority of the citizens very vulnerable. So coming back to your question, whether we are seeing any change in terms of diversification, I think it's going to be very, very difficult, because even some of the members of parliament, as we presented our analysis to the expanded committee on budgets, had raised a similar concern, because they are also seeing that the direction is more on the commercialization of agriculture in the country, which is not bad, but if you do it at the expense of the small scale farming, we know that these foods find themselves in our markets, you know, across the country, then that becomes a very wrong approach to go. And also maybe that something that I can also indicate that might make our agricultural or just our diversification agenda fail is the fact that also government is planning to move 100%, you know, to the direct support program when it comes to FISIP. So this is where government will still strike big deals with corporates, take fertilizers and maize seed to farmers across the country, and you know, that in itself would still take us back to overproducing maize and less of other foods, and yeah, malnutrition cases would remain as high as they have been.
Okay, one of them of the issues that you've been raising times without number is the school feeding program, which is part of supporting nutrition in children that are vulnerable, and maybe even those that are not really vulnerable, but they just want to have the meals at school. But then your issue has been the budget that is allocated to that.
Yeah.
What's your take on the social protection budget that has been allocated in 2022? Because I'm sure that's where that falls as well.
Yeah. So let me actually come. I'm glad you've mentioned the school feeding program. And surprisingly, you know, the past 3-4 years, when the ministers of finance will be presenting the budget in Parliament, in their budget speech, you know, one of the cornerstones of nutrition that they'll keep on mentioning is the school feeding program. But surprisingly, this year, the Honorable Minister, Dr. Stombeko Msokotwane, did not even mention the school feeding program at all. So that has been silent. If you go to the Yellow Book itself, you try to check for budget lines that speak to the school feeding program, they are all silent. So we wonder whether government still plans to continue with the school feeding program. And moreover, what is also quite scary is the fact that other cooperating partners that were financing or supporting government with finances to run with the school feeding program, like the World Food Program, have you know, withdrawn the support that they were giving, and they're giving more technical support rather than, you know, the monetary support. WFP would spend, I think, about $6 million or, you know, on a yearly basis just to support the school feeding program. But their withdrawal means that, you know, there is a huge gap, and government really needs to find ways of supporting this. But again, what was quite shocking is that, you know, if you look at the Auditor General's report, for example, the Auditor General's report of 2019, you know, just the year that WFP had, you know, withdrawn their financial support, you would see that all the monies that were allocated in the Yellow Book, the school feeding program, were all misappropriated, either going to buying stationery or paying allowances of people. So that now raises a lot of concern whether government is deciding to do away with this program that has been important, that has managed to keep children in schools, especially from vulnerable homes and vulnerable communities where issues of food and nutrition security have been issues for quite a long time.
Dana, I know you have talked about it a little bit, but I want to find out what would be your recommendation regarding the Farmers Input Support Program, where we have seen other stakeholders suggesting that it should be done away with completely. But what are you recommending as CSO-san?
Yeah, so the calls to, I know one of the key stakeholders that had you know, advised government to do away with the FISIP program, being the Chitimukulu. For us as CSO-san, our advice to government is that they should keep the FISIP, but not in its form. They really need to restructure it. Because if you look at the history of FISIP, you would agree with me, Patrick, but I know you're not that old, that we had the NAM boards back then during the Kaunda style.
We read about it. We read it, actually.
So, but with the, with the MMD government coming, the MMD forming government, some of the subsidy programs were done away with because of the IMF program, the structural adjustment programs, and in the 98s, government coming back with some other programs that would support farmers with fertilizers and all, and then it transforms into what we currently have as the FISIP program, which has been predominantly maize and fertilizer seed. But in its current form, with the commitments that Zambia has made, the FISIP is not really responding to our needs. Look at a good example is the food systems commitments that Zambia has made just in September. at the UN General Assembly, where the Food System Summit was also, taking place, that, our food production is going to be more sustainable. We're going to protect the environment, but what has the heavy use of fertilizers and maize done that actually, depleting, the fertility of our soils, and if we continue at that pace, our soils would be very unusable for food production. So we expect government, and one of the key recommendations that has been made that government has actually committed to is restructuring the FISIP program, because there is quite a lot of money that goes in the FISIP program, and if well utilized and well structured, it has the potential to transform our food system in Zambia. A good example is last year you had government's budget for about 5.7 billion kwacha to FISIP, which has dropped in this year, in the 2022 budget, to about 5.3 billion kwacha. So that's a huge amount of money still, but it has to be utilized in a manner that does not condition farmers to growing one type of crop, does not, condition farmers to deplete, the fertility of their soils and the like, but it can be channeled quite well. A good example that I can give is countries like Uganda, where their governments would have deliberate policies. So if they realize that places like Lunga and other places which have water can produce more of rice and other crops that can grow better there, why can government take an approach where you give them subsidies of what would grow very, very well in those areas? Look at other places. For them, they're championing, they're even exporting products like coffee, because the government has quite a well-structured program that boosts agriculture and just the diverse foods.
I remember when we were, I think that was social studies in primary school, we had regions and crops that would go favorably in particular regions. What happened to that?
Yeah, so maize has become a political crop in Zambia. No wonder you would even see that in the past, presidents, whenever we have a bumper harvest for maize, there will be celebrations, by technocrats in the Ministry of Agriculture. Even the presidents, would celebrate that, forgetting that, food security has, if you look at the definition, it really has to speak to the dietary needs of the population and not one particular crop. So hence Zambia continues to rank very highly on the Global Hunger Index. You'll be ranked the 3rd hungriest country in the world. Now we are 5th hungriest country in the world. It's all because our agricultural policies are not really speaking to the needs, to the dietary needs of our country.
All this that you've spoken about clearly points to lack of political will with regards to championing nutrition, even just championing the growth of the agriculture sector, where nutrition really falls under. I remember we had the former Vice President, Mrs. Inonge Wina, was a champion for nutrition, though not much progress was recorded. Are we seeing you pointing out or maybe approaching one of these senior government officials, or even our Vice President now, so that she can be the champion for this sector, say nutrition? Maybe something better can be achieved at the end of the day.
So I'm glad you've pointed out that we had quite senior, like the high-level government officials, like the former Vice President, Madam Inonge Wina, who was a nutrition champion and helped actually in getting commitments for government. But also, in my own opinion, I would say, her role as a champion did not really, transform, the nutrition sector, because you would have commitments made by government that would never be honored. So we even wonder whether, sometimes having vice presidents, whether those are just ceremonial positions and whether they have the influence to change things and the like. But this time around, it has to be different. So even when we engage, the current vice president, what would really hope for is to see, the commitments that governments would make, being honored. But again, that's what you get when you don't have the top leadership, buy-in on some of the key things that, affect the lives of the people. What the leadership sometimes forget is that, we are what we eat, and if at all we don't get what we eat right, then it becomes a problem. A good example that I can also give Sharon right now is the fact that, issues of food safety have been quite huge, especially now but you have laws such as the Food Safety Act of 2019 that can protect the public. I'll tell you that there are quite a lot of beverages that are adulterated. You have certain beverages that are being sold as immune system boosters, and yet they contain quite a lot of alcohol in them. There's a certain drink, and unknowing parents unsuspecting parents would actually buy and give that to the younger ones at home. They will get drunk, and the health effects would be quite huge. But what are you seeing in the budget? There's no mention of any budget lines that have to do with food safety. The only thing that you would see is government has increased the allocation to the food lab that is supposed to actually test foods that are coming in from outside the country just to see whether those are safe. But that increase is very minimal, from 1 million to about 2 million kwacha, which is very insignificant. So you wonder whether there's also political will to protect the public from consuming unsafe foods. Not so long ago, you had cases in the Copper Belt where people ate foods that were poisonous, and a number of them were actually in hospitals and all. But again, apart from that, you have a lot of people that are selling foods that are expired, foods that are not safe to consume in a manner, but you would not see any effort or any resource allocation to those areas. So there's quite a lot of work that has to be done, and with this budget, I think it's an opportunity for the new Dawn government to really see how they can strengthen the nutrition sector, as well as also just protecting the public when it comes to food-related matters.
Before you come in, Patrick, just on that, Memphis, how are you working with other stakeholders in ensuring that people get the right information on foodstuffs? You mentioned the issues of foods that come in the country with foreign language. I know we talked about it at some point. It's written in maybe Chinese, Indian, but then not everyone understands those languages. But then we still find these foodstuffs on the shelves in trade stores. Are you working with other stakeholders in ensuring that these foods that are not clearly labeled are out of the shelf to protect people?
So the biggest culprit when it comes to that would be the Ministry of Health, the Food Safety Department, and sometimes we even question whether they're the right, ministry to hold, this huge mandate, because if you look at this Food Safety Act, it sits with them. So when it comes to labeling, labels should be clear. People should understand what they're buying. But if you walk in a store, you walk in a Korean store, you wonder whether the food that they're selling is actually meant for the local people or it's meant for their own population. But unfortunately, all of those are restrictions that, could have been put in place by government to protect the public. Sometimes people would buy things that they don't really understand. You can't even read the expiry dates and all. So, but, on the government side, all of that is quite silent. It's like they're happy with the way things are going. But it becomes very dangerous, especially when it comes to matters of public health. So working with stakeholders, we have tried our level best to work with the Ministry of Health, the Food Safety Department, as well as also other stakeholders to champion the food safety matters. But unfortunately, from the government side, you would really feel like some of these concerns are really falling on deaf ears. And whether there's any political will to strengthen our food safety, just the food safety matters in the country. So that is the way things are. And at the end of the day, people's rights, the right to food, the right to information, and all these malpractice that we're seeing, has to be done away with. So we hope that government, especially that the government is new, can clean up this matter and do the right thing.
Now, and Mr. Mahuru, we are also seeing, as we highly commercialize the agriculture sector, we're also seeing a shift in terms of the GMO agenda, where these companies are equally trying to take advantage of the situation and try to impose the GMO agenda to Zambia. But what is your position as an alliance regarding the GMOs?
Yeah, so I'll tell you one thing. When it comes to debates on GMOs, there are quite a number of countries actually that we could learn from. And for us, I think what really bothers us is the fact that when you are seeing some of these Western countries talk about the GMO agenda, I think just a good example would be, Boris Johnson, when he was ushered into office. One of the statements that he made that, you would find dangerous as an African is the fact that he mentions that, they want to produce GMOs to feed the world. They're not talking about producing GMOs to feed their own people. So it becomes a market approach. You know, look at the billions of dollars that are actually raised by, you know, commercializing the agricultural sector and, you know, producing GMOs, because they know that they'll have quite a lot of yields. So, and unfortunately, as I even mentioned, that commercializing the agricultural space, you are going to see more and more of the GMOs, because obviously they would want to produce more and get more yields compared to our natural, you know, seeds and just the food that we've had. So the consequences, as I've said, the health effects might not really be that well known, but what is known is the fact that with GMOs, there's a heavy use of chemicals, there's heavy use of you know, other like fertilizers, and a number of companies actually, if you follow the GMO discussion, you'd realize that they have been actually sued in some of the places. Like I know Monsanto was sued and they lost about $2 billion from, you know, one person who had cancer and all. But those are information that you would not find here. So you find these big corporates that are pushing, you know, the policy environment, not just in Zambia, but, you know, in the region, in SADC and in Africa, to make, you know, seed certifications, you know, whatever you used to call seeds back then, that our grandparents would call seeds, you know, are not considered to be seeds unless if they're certified and all of those things. And look at, you know, some of the funders of the National Biosafety Authority would realize that these are same people that are championing the GMOs. So there's that organized. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, government has to be strong on this, and they really have to put the needs of the people, you know, first. Because even with GMOs, one thing that is known is the fact that, you know, you are conditioning farmers. Imagine the GMO maize. You plant your maize today. When you harvest, you cannot replant that maize because you have been you have to go back and pay the people that are producing these GMO seeds. But with your old, you know, seeds, you would replant 4 or 5 times, you know, 4 or 5 years you're just replanting the same food and you're consuming it. So it's quite scary when you're, you know, opening up the market to GMOs. And not so long ago we found some GMO seed that, you know, were in the country in some warehouse, which is very scary. So it might show you also that, you know, we have quite a lot of GM activities that are happening in the country, even when we don't have laws that allow for, you know, GMO seeds, but GMO foods, you know,
still find themselves in the country.
They still find themselves in the country.
We have a GMO clique.
Yes,
that could be another
GMO clique.
Yes, there's that clique that is, you know,
a clique of GMO champions.
Yeah, it should be existing somewhere, I think.
We wonder if it's also been existing since independence.
But probably post, I think, in the MMD, since the MMD administration.
Yeah, after the MMD administration,
yes.
we're quite strong on that. So.
Yeah, I think that's when that talk started. Yeah.
You're watching the Camnet Breakfast just now. We take a break. On the other side, we continue the conversation with Matthew Moore from CSO SAN, who is the national coordinator. Stay with us.
Sharon, watch it, bro. Then you are Jackson.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties, on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Hello, I'm Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
We celebrate for all you've done, Lord. We give you all the praise. Oh, we testify. We celebrate.
I don't know why. Welcome back. This is the Camnet Breakfast Show. We're still chatting with Matthew Moro on a couple of issues relating to nutrition and where we see the country going forward, especially that the country just has a new administration in place. Obviously, we are reviewing what we had in 2021 and the other years going forward in 2022, especially that the budget was recently announced, and we're just also looking at it with regards to the nutrition aspect as well as other cooperative factors and the promises that have been made with regards to nutrition.
And Mr. Muhuru, just to pick on your thoughts, others like the business community, they have been thinking that the budget is progressive. And could we describe them as winners? And in other ways, as the stakeholders championing nutrition on the other side has been losers?
That's a very that's a very good analysis, Patrick. So yeah, I think from the way things look, you would realize that the business community has a lot of gains with the budget, the 2022 national budget, and now you wonder whether the vulnerable people, the poor people, are also being considered with the resource allocation. So yeah, I think it's quite scary. And for us, one of the things that we have really noted is the fact that the agricultural allocations are actually a mess, and they really need to be reworked, because in as much as we are happy that you have the new ministry, the Ministry of Green Economy, that will help us fight climate change, and also maybe in future connecting this important ministry to other ministries like the Ministry of Agriculture, so that they interface a lot, they network a lot, and recommendations that are coming through to this particular ministry can also be shared with the Ministry of Agriculture, so that our food production does not in any way affect the way we are protecting the environment and just environmental issues. But yeah, I think there's a lot that could be said about the budget, and from the way things look, the poor people are losers with this budget. Wow.
And those are the people that you're supposed to protect, those are the people that you're supposed to help, so that they can get to fighting equality.
Exactly.
Meaning it's so imbalanced.
I think for me to understand the severity of this nutritional component, Mr. Muhuru could help us by just interpreting what it means when we say about 40% of our children are stunted, so that maybe people don't appreciate what it really means when it comes to nutrition.
You're right, Patrick. So most people look at nutrition issues and look at our stunting or just our indicators, nutrition indicators, in a way that might be too technical for them. But what it really means is that when you're looking at your stunting rates, it means that that section of your population has been deprived of the ability, to have full growth. And by full growth, what I mean is, their brain development has not fully, taken place, and the effects of stunting, would manifest in later years of life, because these are people that, the immune system is not fully developed, they will be seeking medical services time and again. Their brain development has been affected, so they would not compete favorably compared to their counterparts who've been well nourished and that are not stunted. And places in the country where stunting rates are quite high, are associated with very, very poor development. And so yeah, some of these effects are very, very bad, because they deprive a person with just the necessary things that are needed for them to live a healthier and happy life that would also enable them to contribute to the development of the country. So it is quite alarming that you have such kind of rates and nothing serious is being done, or there's very little political will to address these issues.
Interesting. Well, Mr. Muhuru, we really thank you for finding time, because we have been able to unpack some of the nutritional issues that matter the most. And lastly, as you wind up, what are some of the activities that we are likely to see from CSO SAN in as far as nutrition advocacy and program implementation is concerned?
Yeah, so there are quite a number of issues that you might see from CSO SAN. So 2021 is actually being considered globally as the year of action in as far as nutrition is concerned, because we had quite a lot of activities. So one of the activities being the Food System Summit, like I mentioned, where Zambia has also made commitments to. So working with the government, working with different partners to ensure that, you know, we really adopt this sustainable food system, because our food system was not sustainable as a country. So you see a lot of work at ground level, CSO working with communities, working with municipalities, and working with the traditional leadership, so that, you know, they can become the agents of change and ensure that our communities are responsible in the way we are, you know, producing food and just treating environmental matters. Apart from that, you know, we have quite a key event somewhere around in the first week of December. So we have what they're calling the Nutrition for Growth Summit. So this is a summit that had happened, the first one took place in 2014, and where Zambia was one of the countries that made commitments through our acting president then, Dr. Guy Scott, you know, to just champion nutrition, ensure that nutrition financing, you know, is owned by the government. But unfortunately, all those commitments have not been, you know, honored. But we have another opportunity with the Nutrition for Growth Summit that happens in Japan, where a number of countries will be expected to see how they can, you know, just push the nutrition agenda in their countries. So just working with government to ensure that, you know, we can have commitments that, you know, would change the nutrition environment in the country, I think is quite high on our agenda. So some of those activities you get to see them, but expect us more on the ground. And remember that we're in the rainy season now, so food production, we know that what scares us the most is the fact that despite, you know, being very vulnerable when it comes to food and nutrition security, you know, the rainy season presents a lot of seasonal foods that unfortunately most of them goes to waste, and with the end of the season it means it's the end of the food. So we're trying to push the preservation agenda so that people can preserve some of the foods that, you know, the season will bring, and they can consume them all year round, so that, you know, they're not vulnerable, they're not hungry, and they don't just have maize.
Wow. Interesting conversation there we've had with Nicholas Moore from CSO SAN. Before you go, what is masoko in English?
It's a very good question. I've never really...
You've spoken about foods that are seasonal, and masoko is in season.
Yeah.
And it's an indigenous fruit.
Yes.
What's it in English, sir? Kindly help us.
Masoko. Patrick, you want to help?
No, we'll get the answer,
What
then
is
we'll
masoko
come.
in English?
We'll come on. No, probably our viewers will help us with that one.
Yeah, but also your assignment, Sharon, is learn how to preserve masoko.
Exactly.
Whether you can dry them or you preserve them in a certain way. So
Yeah.
you can have masoko.
Maybe
Throughout.
I call them the masuku.
Really interesting. But we'll try to find out that.
Yes, indeed. All
And
right.
how to preserve them.
Yes, how to preserve them, yes,
How to
keyword.
preserve the masuku so that we can have them in June, we can have them in
different
season.
forms.
Yes, exactly. All right, so we just take a short break. When we return on the other side, we have another guest as we discuss various topics.
Camnet TV is here to entertain, educate and inform you. Catch Rise and Thrive at 0730 hours every Saturday. Fresh and new praise and worship comes Monday to Friday at 8 hours. Kids need to be glued to the TV every weekday at 09 hours for their favorite cartoons. Off the pitch with the boys as they talk about sport on Saturdays at 0930 hours.
Remember, we are also here to entertain you with our different varieties of movies every weekday at 10 hours. Join Pastor Victoria and Moses Chuluba with Healing Word Ministries International Church live sermon every Sunday at 10 hours.
Katamanda brings to you another journey of gospel ministers on Saturdays at 10:30 hours. The verdict comes to your screens at 17:45 hours. Join the Revival Harvest Church every Sunday at 18:30 hours.
Every Monday to Saturday, join us on the news desk at 12 hours as we bring to you the midday news, and at 19:30 hours Central African time every day for the main bulletin.
The ministry with Pastor Moses Chilua comes every Friday at 20:45 hours. On Mondays, it's your favorite National Matters at 20:45 hours.
Wednesday and Thursday, Pastor Victoria and Moses Chiluba are on Partnership of Greatness with different spiritual teachings at 20:45 hours.
And Frank on Camnet comes to your screen every Tuesday at 20:45 hours.
Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Welcome back. This is the Camnet Breakfast Show, and now we have an interview or a conversation with United Party for National Development Deputy National Youth Chairman, Mr. Trevor Mwinde. Welcome to this interview.
I'm grateful and thankful to God Almighty and to you, the host. I'm humbled to be here this morning.
You've been to Camnet TV, not so? For an interview?
On several occasions to discuss other pertinent issues, not necessarily this kind.
When you were in opposition?
When we were in opposition, we made sure that we interacted with all the private media houses.
Yes.
Thank you for honoring this invitation.
Very humbled.
First of all, in fact, Mr. Mwinde, we are hosting you for the first time. And I think that gives our viewers an opportunity to understand who is Trevor Mwinde and how has he fought some of the political battles, especially at the moment.
Oh, well.
Now that you're in the ruling party now.
Briefly.
Briefly.
Very briefly, yes. Trevor Mwinde is a youth leader, Deputy National Youth Chairperson, Politics and Mobilization. I'm a married man. I'm a God-fearing person, and I'm a farmer. Been running my real estate business. I'm happy to have mentioned that even the proprietor of this business, Pastor Chiluba, I've done business with him before many years ago. And above all, I'm a servant of the people of Zambia. I chose to stop certain business activities and join active politics. For 19 years, we've been running side by side with our politics and businesses. All in all, we are ready to be servants of the people. When you call, we run.
But how are you settling in office as the United Party for National Development Administration?
Well, it's up to the people to judge. Yes, it's entirely the people's task to rate us, and who will receive both positive and negative criticism. Settling in office as a political party, as a youth leader, we are doing our best to make sure that levels of sanity and creating an intimidation-free environment and walking the talk on ending political violence, of which we have made milestones. Everybody else would agree with you, and I would agree with anybody else more, because the writing is on the wall.
Okay, you are a youth leader, and obviously you deal with youths who are, for lack of a better term, very difficult to manage. They are the majority in the party. How are you ensuring that each one of them is at least brought on board, brought up to speed with regards to making sure that the party is moving in a progressive manner and not taking the party backwards? Because we have noticed of late, or we have read writings really that say no, the UPNDUs are not happy really with the decisions that have been made in the party. We've seen videos circulate on social media. Just how are you ensuring that the party still remains intact on the youth leg?
First of all, politics being what they are, you must be able to appreciate the fact that there are people that are also trying to make news out of nothing, and there are people that are funded by now the opposition, which was too comfortable to realize that the boat would capsize at a certain moment like it is now. We don't believe in symbols, we don't believe in ideas that which do not put human development and society's development agenda as the top one. As the United Party for National Development youth leader, we have seen certain sections of youths complaining. But it is just normal, even in any given environment. A child, you cook beans, somebody tells you, no, me, I would have loved carpenter. You cook carpenter, somebody says, me, I would have loved game meat, no, I would have loved dry meat, things like that. So we are running a political party, and running a political party has never ever been easy. That is why you see certain people have ended up being politicians on paper. They are saying, no, I'm a political party leader, doesn't have a councillor, doesn't have a member of parliament. It is not easy. It is not what you say on television or radio that which validates you into a politician, but it is your heart, your mindset, your determination, and your willingness to hear what the grassroots is saying.
You out there, the viewers, can join in the conversation and ask Mr. Trevor Mwinde, who is the United Party for National Development Deputy National Youth Chairperson. Ask him those questions that have been bothering you out there in the community. You see these things happening. You talk about intimidation, you talk about the UPND gagging other political parties. Call in, send your messages on WhatsApp, on Facebook, and just join in this conversation.
Now, Mr. Mwinde, that brings me to another issue of where we have seen that some people have been taking advantage that the party is in office, and others have started inflicting violence on others, and those incidents do come in, and most of the times you have also reacted to such incidents. But do such activities are the blessings of the party?
You have given me a very sweeping statement, which as a leader of a political party, I need to be, because politics is a science, and the politics being a science, I need to be very empirical. I need to zero down instead of me generalizing. So we have never and would never negotiate with any perpetrators of violence in this country, in this regime. At least we should be known as people that came into power with a clear vision, and that clear vision is to make sure that we govern the country based on the expectations of the Zambians, making sure that Zambia can be greater once more again.
We have a caller.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you for calling us. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Yes. This is Matthew.
Yes, ma'am.
Calling from Kawata.
Please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes. I just wanted to make a contribution on the program.
Go ahead.
So I did. Yes. So I didn't catch the program from the start, but I came to make a small contribution. Yeah. What's the? Sorry, I just get his name properly. Yeah, but what is it talking about? It's very true. You find under the UPND. But we find that people, they just want to criticize, to say no, because it's UPND, so the budget is bad. And we've had some politicians speaking like that. So how are we going to help our country if we'll be criticizing because of criticism? So we need to have mature politicians. I'm from Kawata in Ward 5. I'm not yet in any political party, but I want to join. I want to be inspired. But if we hear politicians who are always talking negative things, I think as young people, we are not inspired. So we need to have leaders who are going to inspire us young people to contribute. That's just talking about criticism, everyday criticism, everyday. This time to work. I think the elections are passed. That this time is time to work. There are a lot of young people who don't have employment. Let us help these young people how they can get something to do. So that's my contribution. Otherwise, it's a very good program.
Thank you so much.
And to our leaders, you are doing a good job. Please keep up the work. Some of us were inspired from you guys, and we'll see. Maybe we'll join you in future.
Thank you so much.
Well, that was Matthews trying to make a contribution, and he was just trying to agree with
showering the praise.
on
It's a reality on the ground. The conversation is getting to and fro. So we've got a positive response. We don't campaign putting stage managed kind of conversations. It's an independent individual. This program, you just gave me short notice. You have not had time to even advertise.
We haven't even advertised actually. We haven't.
Yeah. So, but now, Mr. Mwindo, I think he was talking about checks and balances, and if the opposition are not doing enough. Is that also your thought in terms of, especially from the opposition PF and the opposition patrols for economic progress? Are you feeling the heat from these two political parties?
I can attest that we have an opposition political party, a former ruling party, Patriotic Front, and I don't know of the other one because any political party that which does not have a representation either in any local government, I even know of Haibi Amadou as a member of parliament, part of national whatever, something like that, yeah. So as a politician and as a person that has been on the ground of politics without pretense, fear or favor, we want to say that kindergarten toy type of playing or dead god kind of politics is a kind of long-gone theory. Zambians are people that are no longer interested in politics of hatred. Zambians are people that now want to believe in your ideologies. Zambian politicians are used to doing wrong favors only to people that which they are biased. Look at it. People want to condemn the budget that which is talking about an increase of CDF from 1.6 to 25 million. It is very preposterous to expect a mere low-thinking individual who didn't even do very well in mathematics. Themselves, they are thinking it is a decrease. But the people that are going to benefit are the people that voted for them, and kudos who actually go to even these very members of parliament who are in opposition. As far as we are concerned, the Patriotic Front had given the Zambians the 90 days slogan. As a united party for national development, we spoke to the Zambians and they promised the Zambians that we will end the violence and we will make sure that the rule of law is back. We have had the incidences where the whole of the civil service, except for Kanganja alone, it was left to do the policing work. Every other police was parroting on the side of the political party. This time around, we have got policemen. I can go to the division, policemen who also disagree with me. Who am I? I'm a national leader. You have got certain people that just some few months ago were slapping policemen at the Lusaka Central Police, and now they are members of parliament. Yes, and we cannot continue in this country on a path of self-destruction where we are clapping for wrongdoers. So we know there are people also who want to speak very little of the achievements which the president has done. He made one trip to the United Kingdom, and he came up he managed to negotiate with his team out of the confidence that the UK has, out of the climate change money, that which the richer countries, due to the carbon emissions, they are willing now to pay back to the poorer countries, because they are the ones that began industrialization after all. So those countries managed, especially the UK, managed to negotiate and score a £1 billion transaction. And somebody comes to ask a president at the airport, instead of asking the achievements that which he has come with, or probably recognizing the efforts that which they made out there, somebody comes with a very useless question, a tribal question. We know here the president tomorrow, he's now in the media house. No, the president is being selective. No, we must be smart. We must stop being petty. We must look much in the eyes of a Zambian. Look, when I came here, did I ask where you come from? Did I ask where you come from? It is neither here nor there. It doesn't matter to me. Right. I know you work for Camnet. It's an organization that which has got a very strong spiritual background with mature individuals that pray. And when you invited me, I had the confidence to run.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, so we have another caller. Let's just talk to them. Good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning. We can hear you. Good morning. I'm quite katuishimwe. Okay. Landeni pomkwai. Awe landeni pomkwai.
Everywhere. So,
all right, start until I'm quite fast to me now. Thank you.
I want to appreciate what this gentleman has said. When the UNIP was ousted out of power, the MMD guys went to grab properties, government properties, including vehicles, using guns. In the United Party for National Development, UPND governance kind of system, if you realize, you have observed that we have actually maintained a lot of civil servants, even those that did not mean well to the UPND. When the PF took over from the MMD, they fired people overnight. Other people started clinging to government offices. In as much as that is so, I think sanity is above board in the current regime, and the issue of cooperatives, that which this government has initiated, we want to make sure that there's unity at the grassroots, and unity, so that if unity is there at the grassroots, it is very easy to lead people that are united and focused, unlike divided groupings of people. So we want to focus on making sure that returns not only go to the people that are pro-UPND. We are a government in power. At a certain time, everybody else was the MMD. At a certain time, everybody else was the UNIP. But we differed in ideologies because of the forcefulness and the manner of Qadarism that which came in using the PF governance. We did not agree.
We have another caller. Hello, you are through to Camnet TV.
Yes, please.
May we have your name and where you are calling us from?
Nelson calling from Chimora.
You can go ahead with your contribution, sir.
Yes, please. Yeah. Just want to contribute a bit. Yeah, more especially in reference to the last caller, who is urging the UPND not just be if no political parties were able to implement all the promises within the 3 months, and was going to be bad. But I've never seen a political party that has fulfilled the promises, all the promises, even within 1 year. It's not possible. That is my contribution.
All right, thank you so much for calling through. Mr. Mwinde, briefly, just a comment on that.
Ngati Mozambique nkachape mushe. Based on the fulfillment of the promises, UPND has promised Zambians sustainable jobs. Anything that which has got a program or kukwatira. So uzabona watu no lero takumana, lero yamene nilipire salamu, lero yamene iyai tiende kwa honeymoon, lero yamene iyai tibale mwana. No. These things must be accepted. That you are being led by people that are organized. Yes, we know there are youths that were displaced from bus stations and markets, and they are the majority that which are making noise. And for only information to put it on the record, muntu sanara nabara kasoti ka UPND abwera pa fora manje apezapo kasoti avala achinja uniform so that he fits the current regime and he seems to complain from within. We have not eaten any money from the bus stations. We have not said, you know, we were working for UPND for 19 years, give us a job. Because how would I get a job when the youth that I was leading, they don't have a job? So it's important that I should be patient as a leader to demonstrate patience to the people that I'm leading.
Exactly. We have another caller. Good morning. Thank you for calling. Morning.
Morning.
Tell us where you're calling from and go ahead with your contribution.
Hello?
Tell us where you're calling from and go ahead with your contribution.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
We can get you.
Can hear me?
Hello?
Yes, I want to calling from you.
Please go ahead with your contribution.
You can proceed.
Go ahead.
You can proceed. We can get you. Okay, we are depleted by the line.
Okay, just now we take a short breather so that when we return, we continue the calls and the conversation. In studio, we have Mr. Trevor Mwinde, who is the Deputy National Youth Chairperson for the United Party for National Development. Joining the conversation, call us, send us messages on Facebook, and tell us wherever you're watching us from.
Camnet TV is here to entertain, educate, and inform you. Catch Rise and Thrive at 07:30 hours every Saturday. Fresh and new praise and worship comes Monday to Friday at 8 hours. Kids need to be glued to the TV every weekday at 09 hours for their favorite cartoons. Off the beach with the boys as they talk about sport on Saturdays at 09:30 hours.
Remember, we are also here to entertain you with our different varieties of movies every weekday at 10 hours. Join Pastor Victoria and Moses Chuluwa with Healing Word Ministries International Church live sermon every Sunday at 10 hours.
Katamanda brings to you another journey of gospel ministers on Saturdays at 10:30 hours. The verdict comes to your screens at 17:45 hours. Join the Revival Harvest Church every Sunday at 18:30 hours.
Every Monday to Saturday, join us on the news desk at 12 hours as we bring to you the midday news, and at 19:30 hours Central African time every day for the main bulletin.
The ministry with Pastor Moses Chuluwa comes every Friday at 20:45 hours. On Mondays, it's your favorite national matters at 20:45 hours.
Wednesday and Thursday, Pastor Victoria and Moses Chuluwa are on Partnership of Greatness with different spiritual teachings at 20:45 hours.
And Frank on Camnet comes to your screen every Tuesday at 20:45 hours.
Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. This is the Camnet Breakfast Show, and we are in conversation with Mr. Mwinde. You can also call us and send in your contributions with regards to how the youths in the United Party for National Development have been treating you out there in the community as well as other areas. Mr. Mwinde, just to bring you back to you, before we went on a break, you mentioned about the youths that were operating in bus stations. Yesterday, Camnet TV carried a story where cadres are allegedly collecting money from street vendors in an effort to dupe them with the promise of giving them space at Simon Moale Market that is under construction. What's your view on that? Are they your members?
We will not continue being in denial. If anybody is doing any wrongs under the watch of the Zambia police, because we are all governed by laws in this country, after law. And if somebody wants to validate their wrongdoings using the political party name, it's very unfortunate. And we will not allow or condone such activities. It's unfortunate that certain reports that you give us are not live. If ever it was live, when such activities are reported, we would take immediate remedial measures to make sure that we curb that kind of behavior.
Now, Mr. Mwinde, I also want to, we can take that caller. You are through to Camnet TV.
Hello?
Good morning, you're through to Camnet TV.
Hello?
Good morning, you're through to Camnet TV.
Yes, I want to contribute to the discussion. Very important.
Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Yeah, Kamwan is my name. I'm calling from Garden Compound in South.
Okay, please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, just want to advise our friends, the TF supporters and the members. You know, people of Zambia gave them a very good chance to rule this country. Now, they took Zambia as a testament to order. So now they are no longer in power. Whatever contribution and complaints they are making, those are very complex. Some of the president, when he reached the West, he said, the Greek of faith, it has become so difficult that it has taken almost as long. But let me take you back. When the lady said, my ministers are still, the country was ready to complain. Who took the Saka to court? When Edgar became a president, he said, my ministers are safe. And in addition, even the members are safe. Out of 10, 2 are safe. But it was quiet. It was normal. Because Zambia belongs to them. Now today, this is the president. He says something, creeps of food. No, people say, no, want to go to court, want to what? No, it's not right. This Zambia belongs to everyone. Anyone can be a president. So let's not really just bring up on the issues that are not important to the Zambian people, but they should understand. Zambians are very mature people, very educated people. Yeah? So when they are talking of issues, they should know that they're not talking to Zambians for people. They are talking to Zambians who are educated, who are mature. So let them come down. We know that, okay, they are bitter of losing elections, but let's not take things as personal or what. No, it's not correct. This is our land then. And let's support the UPND so that this country can go forward. Okay. Look what the previous thing does. Even teachers are complaining. How can you employ 1,500 teachers without putting them on the table? And those are just scattered. Yeah? Those are just scattered. So what is the problem? They have been working for 2 years without complaining. Now, people employed them, they're out of power. That's why now they come to complain to a young government, just 2 months in office. This is Zambia. We don't therefore. We want proper leadership. And we're asking UPND. The TF misled Edgar. Now they're trying to mislead again Lulele. But we pray that let them stand firm. Because most of even in office, even in him.
That was a lengthy contribution.
Exactly.
And it did not only end at Michael Sata having said my ministers are thieves, and the ECO having said all members are thieves. He further on said you can steal, but a president stands out, he's quoted, he says you can steal. And the people were quiet. You see, we must not celebrate stupidity in this country. We must not celebrate any deviant kind of behavior. Even His Excellency Agende Ichirema was very careful. I wish you had the same kind of conversation. He was very careful.
Click of thieves.
When he said the clique of thieves, it is just true. If you look at the same people that are making noise, I will give you an example. We are here to educate. But Shimba Kamwiri, Kumienu, yes, Amatorete Mwapola, Pona Kuchinsai. Do you even have a stadium in Chinsai? Were you even ever on a record, ever having advocated for a good tarmac from Mpika or from Chinsari Turnoff up to into Nakonde? Have you ever advocated for the Mbesuma Bridge, which is not completed? The UPND in its agenda has said because of the potential the North has, we are even planning to develop one of the modern airports in Kasama. It was pronounced in the national budget. So, Bachi Shimbagambwiri, his tenure or relevance to the Zambian politics, those politics of noise making, you better use your energy at your farm. You are already a retired politician. You are information minister. At the time when he was information minister, you were busy threatening journalists like Martin Maseka, ZNBC. You were busy threatening people, campaigning for unions that which were biased in. We know even in the management of people, the supervisors you have put in ZNBC, that they are biased. That is why they are being overshadowed by a private media to cover the president at the airport. Yes, we are a political party that which is in power. But the ills and wrongs of society, we are not blind to them. And we have grown in the very system of governance. You wanted us to die, just like Joseph said in the Bible, in the book of Genesis. He said, what you did to me, you meant it for evil. We all went to cells. I went to prison for 1 year, 6 months. Chimbokaira. Over cases, trumped up judges. Emmanuel Mwamba was on TV, movie TV, celebrating. We have caught the guru of the cadres for HH, who will see how far UPND goes. We have been consistent. We knew that if you have not found anything to die for, you have got no reason to be alive. And these people that are surfacing out of PF, we know that right now we have given you liberties, freedom of expression and all. But even when that is so, we are asking you to be sober. Don't allow the country. There's a certain gentleman who came from Botswana by the name of Sinitembo. He also said, I will tell the members to rise. I think so. There is a man called Sean Tembo. Yes. I will rise against the UPND. But look, to rise against the UPND, where is Zambia police? We are Muntu, Africa. He must be kicked because he is bringing disorderly conduct. He's inciting violence.
Hello, you are through to Camnet TV. Hello, you are through to Camnet TV. Yes, your names and where you're calling us from.
Please go ahead with your contribution.
You can proceed with your contribution.
Yeah, I just have a question for the chairman.
Yes.
For the address of the question to you. Would you say President Kennedy, the safety, and also Kennedy, even the market that can say, all my ministers are being for a lot. So my question for you is because Michael Jackson and so are you encouraging that even the SS should keep a service or should stay If those people that made a mistake and we are just watching, I'm sure we should really expect that even when we make a mistake, we just have to hold, since we want marketing or extra minimum, and make the next year or just push you. So my question is that I think we just have to hold, we just have to keep quiet, because extra minimum.
Okay, you can wind up. I think we've gotten your point there. Mr. Mwinde is asking, just simply because President Sata, President Lungu, or these former presidents mentioned such issues, does it mean then before you, as you respond to that, we are winding up our discussion. I want Mr. Mwinde to also respond to the issue of which has emerged, where some of the people associated with your party want to petition Parliament to lift the immunity of former President Edgar Lungu. Does that have the blessings of the party, as you respond to what he was just commenting?
Well, just like an individual caller has called in his living room or in his, wherever he may be, in his private apartment, certain decisions politicians make, they are also they emanate from their private thought patterns. So this man who has questioned the immunity of President Edgar Lungu, President Edgar Lungu, he governed this country for a period that which God allowed him to govern. I don't have any issue with him. I'm not the SEC, I'm not the DEC, and as a political party, such recommendations and their magnitude, they can only be studied very correctly at law, and Parliament can make a very good recommendation for that, and of which I'm not a privileged person to be in Parliament. As it stands, those that are calling for the immunity liftment for Edgar Lungu, they also have a point in their own pattern of reasoning. So for me, I think I stand with the citizens of this country. What the citizens want is what I also want. So I think I've given you an answer, and the moment to also pause and think. So in line with what my other colleague, yes, we were governed by different leaders that promised you more money in your pockets. You were duped during daylight, and you were given 1.6 million as CDF for a period of 2 terms. They never changed it. Now more money in people's pocket has come because the UPND has decentralized system of governance and has decided that more money must go, which is 25.7 million, iende kuma constituencies across Zambia. Osayangana kuti ugundiye ku stronghold without kulolesha kweba tawe ukutabatu votere bino bino. It is for that reason we spoke to the people that matter in our society. Abantu mukuichefia baisa tumfira ichibote noluse nenkumbu. People voted for the United Party for National Development because we were available to express ourselves in a humble way. That's why it was PF in Northern Province. The arrogance of Chishimba Kamwiri could not help Edgar Lungu. People in Zambia nomba people to Africa. Ubushiru tabaria and umuntu uli onsole okweba tarekita campaign. Afira enda na issue-based campaign. Look at the road from Kasama into Mbara going to Mpurungu. And the people are not ashamed. But Shimbagambwiri, Mwina Mporokoso, Nsama Mporokoso Road has not been tarred. It's in a deplorable state. Kaputa Road has not been tarred. Urimwina Northern Washani. Then today, that's when you want to rise up. You are given a chance to be in cabinet during Isata. You are given a chance to be in cabinet during Edgar Lungu. Nomba ile rero waisa umono okwe wati no. Ati ukwende rungu kuri pesha. Uleleta na mapinda ya shirino ya sharingamu. Vaya bokwe bati pansaka tapaburo omuwele wele. So in order for us to have these seekers of politics nicely, we will tolerate the people that are not munda ni muchabu kwena. Parapita barema, parapita bakwata mano, abakankara, nabashafika. So we want to say we are not going to tolerate any unnecessary criticism. We are the hand that laid the egg, which is the government. So me coming from a political party, which is UPND, we will not be able to sit idle, to see people downplaying on the achievements that which the government is making. We will be able to pronounce time and again in a humble way, because we have a duty. We will not be able to create a relationship between ourselves and the money as the PFD. But that's a prime paper Minister of Health. Somebody just comes by whichever means of transport to Makumushi, either rise up to Murusaka, I'm a millionaire. Do you expect somebody to respect you? Okay. Somebody, he moves in a GX, which the president moves in bulletproof because of stolen gold from Kasensere, and you want to be clapping for them? No. We must have a country that which is governed on principle and values.
All right. Interesting conversation we've had, Patrick, under 10 seconds.
Well, I think we have gotten what Mr. Mwinde had to say, especially in as far as youth issues is concerned, because we've been receiving a lot of calls regarding that, and we appreciate your coming to the program. And we'll continue giving you a lot of interviews on the Breakfast Show, and so that we can clarify various issues that are affecting the country's development agenda. And we want to also assure our viewers that we'll be trying to work on other segments that will make our program very exciting. But don't miss the Camnet interview, which will be coming every day, and that's at 8 to 9 hours. So be sure to always be part of the program.
All right, this has been the Camnet Breakfast Show. Thank you so much for choosing us and making those calls and contributions to the topics that we've had today. We spoke to CSO Sun National Coordinator Matthew Moro on nutrition issues, as well as United Party for National Development, National Youth Chairperson, Mr. Trevor Mwinde, who is just closing the conversation with us. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning.